All right. Well, thank you again, everyone. As you know from our previous meetings, among our priorities of the year is to really educate voters on the issues they'll be voting on this November. And one of those items is the recently confirmed ballot measure to recall Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price. We have invited Carl Chan and Brenda Grisham from Safe Alameda for Everyone, the committee who launched the recall effort last year and confirmed it for the ballot. Madam DA Price and members of the Protect the Wing campaign and the effort to oppose the recall will join a little later in the meeting. Each campaign will have 15 minutes, and that can be 10 minutes for remarks, and hopefully a couple questions if they're open to it. And we expect if we run over a couple minutes, that's fine as well. Then we'll allot some time for discussion among our membership. So the campaigns are welcome to leave or welcome to listen, but that will just be kind of a membership discussion just for people to kind of talk through and process what we've all just learned. All right, so during tonight's meeting, especially with this issue, we expect what we call an atmosphere of mutual respect, where voices are not raised. We don't want people talking over each other or interrupting. We're asking for no swearing, no name calling. And if members have questions or comments to submit, feel free to send them. It's just going to be a host managed chat tonight. But let's just all have a good dialogue, learn from each other, and be respectful is what we ask. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brenda, Chris, and Carl.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Carl Chen, and I'm one of the principal officers for SAFE. And tonight we will have Brenda Grissom, the other principal officer, but also our campaign manager, Chris Moore, will be here. So we'll keep it pretty simple. So we'll talk about SAFE Alameda for everyone. And we also be going into why we are conducting the recall of the DA Price, and then we can go into question and answer. And first things first,
Actually,
we're going to talk about.
Can you guys see my screen? Can everybody see the screen that we're sharing?
Okay. So we're talking about, it is a broad coalition of residents, businesses, victims, families, and the concerned citizens. And we'd like to see this to unify in our, our belief that recalling DA Pamela Price is critical to keeping our community safe and restoring public safety in our neighborhoods. And again, SAFE, it was formed on July 11, 2023, and we started to file our petition on August the 15th of last year. And we were able to generate all the needed signatures, and we follow every step that was given to us by the guidelines of the county. And there are two principal officers, which is myself and also Brenda Grissom. And at this point, I want to turn over to Chris Moore, and he will give us more in the key reasons why we are conducting the recall. Chris?
All right, thanks, Carl. Yeah, we just wanted to go through it with a kind of the limited time we have today, and I'll go through the first one, and Brenda and I will actually kind of take these. So, really, a lot of what's happening and the reason this recall it was filed by Brenda and Carl is a result of the special directives. Now they were initially issued as a draft in March and then finalized in April. But they were really practiced also during the first quarter, and of course they're still being practiced today. And what we saw with the special directives was a violent crime escalation across largely in Oakland, but also across the county of Alameda. So what one thing we'd encourage everyone on this call to do is to read those special directives from April. They are complex, but it really shows how it's very difficult for the district attorney's office, and they need multiple levels of approval to charge enhancements, and in particular gun enhancements. These had, as I mentioned, a significant increase on increasing of violent crime, across our community in the first 6 months which began in the first 6 months and before we ultimately Brenda and Carl started SAFE. So the directives, they do actually have good intentions. I mean, they are, and you can look in their reasoning is to reduce reliance on sentencing enhancements and to bring balancing to balance back to sentencing. We agree. That's important to the community. We know there were issues in the past, but these particular directives, they've gone way too far, and they've gone to the point where, and we see it every night on the news, and we see it in particular here in Oakland, is that guns are used in practically every violent robbery. Guns are used everywhere. People, if you talk to the police, they pull over cars and that are stolen, and they are filled with weapons. And this is a direct result of these directives. And the police data, if you look at, and there's not a lot of data across the whole community, but certainly for Oakland and OPD data, police data, it shows that, in 2022, violent crime decreased for the first 6 months through June by 8.5%. But then in 2023, in the first 6 months of Pam Price's office and with these directives, violent crime in Oakland jumped 20%. And this led to, much concern in the community, and it really led to why Carl and Brenda started SAFE in early July or mid-July of 2023 and ultimately worked through. And we haven't seen a change. We've actually voiced these directives issues since then, since last summer. But we have not, and we're hoping to see a change in the way the district attorney operates, but we're not seeing that change. And I think I want to turn it over to Brenda now, where she a couple of examples. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly, we don't have much time. I am Brenda Grisham, one of the principal officers, and I've been an advocate for the last 14 years since my son was murdered. During the course of the time of us starting SAFE, I've encountered a whole lot of families that have been seriously affected by the directives, and they have been traumatized. There is a case in the news right now, Emiliana Cristamo. She's 5 years old. So I personally go to court with that mother. I talk to the DAs. I sit in the courtroom. DA Price mentioned that what Miss Sophia has been saying is untrue, in that they are on for 101 years. Unfortunately, Miss Sophia has never mentioned anything about the enhancements. There are enhancements, but those enhancements don't carry 101 years. Those enhancements, without the special circumstance, which is in her directive not to add, they will not serve 101 years. She cannot secure 101 years without that escalation and bypassing the directive. We have never said that we wanted everybody locked away. We just want them to be held accountable for the crimes that they're doing. And there are a lot of violent criminals on the street. If the directives were brought back, we wouldn't be in this place today. Our purpose is to, stand up for the families and make sure that they're okay. We have a lot of families that are going through this system right now that are being re-traumatized. We have families who murderers were charged under Nancy O'Malley, and they are no longer being charged. Murderers charges have been dropped with the same evidence that they were charged with in the first place. So, we did not start this in February. We did not start till January. And we just want the truth to be out. We're standing for the families. And that's the most important part, is the families and the wide range of victims that are in our county, all wide.
Brenda, did you want to touch on Florence as well?
Well, that's the case I was talking to. Florence McCrary is in one of my groups. Her case was charged by Nancy O'Malley, and the young man had a murder charge. I went to court with them. I was at the formal sentencing where right before, after she did an interview with Emily Ragusa, who was banned because of that specific interview. She got a call a couple of days later that the charges were dropped. He was killed at the same place at the same time with the same gun by the same person as the other young man. And this young man, Otis Watt, killed 3 people. The charges were reduced to no contest. The murders were ran concurrent to the first one, and he received no extra time. And she dropped the charges in Miss McCrary's case. That was traumatic. I was in the courtroom at the formal sentencing, and that was heartbreaking to me as a mother who lost their child as well.
Yeah, and
And
I think
I just want to jump in real quick that the thing is, we are talking about, they are very serious, offenders committing serious crimes, but also those are repeat offenders. So we want to make sure that there will be consequences. And, sometimes all these plea deals, it does not work well. And we are and continue to encourage, those criminals continue to attack our city, our county, and hurting many of our seniors, especially seniors, women, and children. So we have to find ways to protecting all of them.
Yep. And we have a long list of those. We didn't have a lot of time today, but we'll certainly be communicating that out. But I think Brenda and I, we've seen also in this process, and Brenda spends a lot of time with victim families, is she doesn't see the support of victim families from the DA's office as well. It seems like there's just not the same compassion that was there before. But just moving along, I think the other issue, and this probably drives a lot of the reason why we don't see the same level of prosecutions of violent criminals on our streets, is that, when the district attorney came into office, over the next 6 months, there was a loss of 25 to 30 veteran prosecutors. Now, these are people that have so much experience. They know how to properly prosecute crimes, and they can go and efficiently prosecute and work out how to charge these cases. When you lose that experience, and we calculate over 400 years of prosecutorial experience, cases back up, cases go stale, charges have to be dropped, and that is another key issue. And you could see there's numerous letters from many of these veteran prosecutors when they left, and they published them online of the reasons they left the district attorney's office, and noting a number of the issues that we just went through here. So I think with that, we can jump to Q&A. We wanted to leave a little time for questions.
All right. We have the first question is regarding the process of gathering signatures. Who funded the paid signature gatherers, and how much did it cost?
Chris, want to jump in? So let me start first, okay? So
Sure.
basically, it's a wide range of supporters, from SAFE and people from general, and they are donating directly to our campaign, so that we are paying for the campaign and signature gathering. So Chris, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so we had it was, as Carl mentioned, it was both grassroots, and we had that across the whole county. But we also had many contributors that truly and genuinely care about what's happening in our community. They were largely, if not all, local. Typically business people and other concerned citizens in our community. And I do want to make a certain point here, because there's information out that it's outside interests or outside people that are doing this. And in a lot of political campaigns, when somebody comes to contribute to a campaign, they're sort of expecting, okay, tribute to somebody who gets in office. They're expecting, hey, they like a conversation, or they want to have the opportunity to talk to that individual when they get in office. That's not the case in a recall. In a recall, that person's recalled and no longer going to be there. These people that contributed to this campaign are genuinely interested in improving our community and making it safer for families in the community. As to the total cost, that is actually, it's public information. I don't have the exact number on my head here, and I think it is certainly published, and we'd be happy to follow up and get you the number after this meeting.
All right, one other question, and sorry, given the limited time, we kind of have to pick and choose from the questions that have been submitted. Ms. Price ran a 10-point plan, which is available on her campaign website. Does the SAFE feel that Ms. Price has undermined her own plan of which she published to get elected? So has she changed things she said she'd do?
Well, see, that's kind of tricky. What she said she was going to do was disrupt the judicial system, and that's what she's doing. She disrupted it. She didn't say which way she was going to disrupt it. And so for me, I'm going to speak for me as being in this field for so long. There are people that have genuinely been victimized by the system. So with that, and I have spoken with Ms. Price before we even start the recall. You have to go with the people, go back to the people that have genuinely been affected by the bias of the African American community in the judicial system. The people, that sold an ounce of weed, they need to go home to their families. That weed is legal. People that were victims of 3 strikes and got 25, 30 years, they shouldn't be still in jail. They need to go home. Those people have been genuinely hurt by the judicial system, and we have to start there.
Yeah, and I think I'll just add to that. I think it gets to, we're not trying to undermine the points that she made in her campaign. When we spoke in the beginning about the directives, we think it's just gone a little too far for our community, and the rest of the community, we believe, thinks that as well. And so there needs to be a little more back a little more balance for the community, because people are being hurt, and they're being hurt every day. So yeah, we're absolutely not trying to undermine it. It's not what this is about. It's about bringing safety to the community.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Brenda, Chris, and Carl. And sorry, everyone, that we couldn't get to all the questions. We can, if interested, is there if people have questions for the SAFE program, how do they get in touch with you all?
Yes. So before Chris can tell you all the information, so I just want to remind people, this is not just a recall, okay? And it's also a wake-up call for many of us, especially the voters, and making sure that, when people are trying to serve us, and we want to make sure that we know who they are, what they will do for us. But again, and a lot of promises, I know that by saying that reform, justice reform, we want to making sure that is a genuine what they are doing. So, but again, the recall process is a democratic process. So people will have a chance to, because they are serving us, we have the right to hire them, but now that we also have the right to fire them. But it's the decision got to be made by the voters. So the decision going to be made on this November 5th. So we're hoping that many of our voters understand the process and why we're doing this recall. So you have the right to vote yes or no on this recall in this coming election in November.
Yep. And just to your question, I just put it, actually, Meredith, I could only chat to you, but it's info@recallpamelaprice.com. If you send any email there, it'll actually send to all of us, all 3 of us.
Okay. Oh, one important question. Sorry, Madam DA. Do you know if the recall goes through, the succession, like what happens after?
The
So we
Board of
have gone through this
Supervisors,
with the county. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
because the
can-
Board of Supervisors put Measure B on the ballot, it will go to them to pick a replacement for her. Unfortunately, the voters, didn't really understand Measure B, so it will be up to them to replace her at that time and figure out the avenues in which they will take that process on.
Yeah,
Okay.
But the replacement only up to until 2026. So the election will be in November 2026 so the people can vote for the new DA at that time.
and if you go to our website, we explain that process as well at recallpamelaprice.org.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
In fact, I put the wrong email. It should be info@recallpamelaprice.org, actually, not .com. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. All right. Now we're welcoming Madam Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price and some members of the Protect the Win campaign to tell us about opposing this recall effort. So Madam District Attorney, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. And greetings to the Alameda County City of Alameda Democratic Club. It's my honor to be here again. As you all know, I am a Democrat and I'm an elected member of the Alameda County Democratic Party Central Committee. And obviously I've been a member of this club for many years now, and someone has participated in the democratic process, certainly supporting the club's goals as well as the democracy that we all fight for and the democratic values that we all hold dear. I was elected to serve in this role in November of 2022 with the support of many people in this club and many Democratic club members across the county. And we ran a countywide race and we won fair and square the Democratic in a Democratic election. And for the first time, the people of Alameda County in 100 years got to elect the district attorney. And that has occurred because since 1938, the Board of Supervisors has been responsible for appointing the district attorney. Earl Warren was appointed in 1925. And when he left to become the California Attorney General, there was a contest, and his chief assistant, who was actually anointed by him, really, won the election. And after that, they decided that there was no need to have a democratic process, that it would be better to just have the board before the end of his term, the district attorney would resign or retire early, and then he would nominate his chief deputy, and then that person would be appointed by the Board of Supervisors. And so when I was elected in November of 2022, it was literally the first time in 100 years that we had actually had a democratic process whereby we elected a district attorney. And it was the first time that we had a conversation. When I ran in 2018, we started having a conversation about the role of the district attorney in this county and in the administration of justice. And we continued that conversation in 2022, and the people decided that the criminal justice system was broken enough that we needed to have a change, that the direction that this system has been heading and the harm that it has caused, even as the election deniers and people who want to overturn the election, they have to admit that the system is broken, that it was not working for victims and it was not working for defendants, and therefore it's undermining the stability of our community. And so I was elected to reform this system and to improve it and to represent the whole community. I am a victim. I am a survivor. And so the people that decided in February of 2022 and to weaponize victims and say that I was ignoring the voices of victims, they were absolutely fabricating that, because I have been representing victims for 30 years as a civil rights lawyer, standing in the gap for people in their worst moment. I have challenged the Alameda County District Attorney's Office to provide justice and restitution to victims of crime. And I have been a victim of crime. And so this movement, this effort to overturn our election is extremely undemocratic and based on nothing more than the fact that people who thought that their candidate should have won didn't like the outcome. And so we were still unpacking boxes and figuring out where our offices should be, because my predecessor did not give us any information about how the office functioned at all. She just left. And so we were still unpacking our boxes when Ms. Grisham appeared on Fox News in, I believe it was February, calling for my recall. And that was the first time that I actually realized, who these people were and recognized that they had been supporting my opponent, and they were just upset because we defeated the opposition. And so this effort started almost immediately. It is not about our policies. It really is an attack on our democracy, because the people of Alameda County, we had a conversation and we talked to people across the county from all walks of life, and they did not make a mistake. They voted. Hundreds of thousands of people voted, and we won the election. And so I'm really honored to serve in this role, and we've done some really amazing things. I hope that you all have gotten a copy of our annual report, and that annual report reflects the work that we have done in the first year. We have dramatically improved victim services, which was so backlogged under my predecessor and the prior administration that it was shameful the way that victims were actually not receiving services in this county. We were driving the curve of the state. The state compensation board had taken claims from Alameda County and actually outsourced them to other counties because we were so backlogged. And we had vendors and victims that were not receiving services for more than a year because of mismanagement of that division. I immediately took control of that situation. I appointed a new interim executive director. We did a survey, a one-to-one survey with all of the claims representatives and the advocates, and we recruited advocates that now reflect the diversity of Alameda County, and we served over 22,000 victims in 2023. We reduced the backlog down to under, I think it's 59 days at the end of the year, and we're continuing to do that. We are, for the state of California, Alameda County is a success story for victim services because of the turnaround that we have done. And so what has been unfortunate in this season has been the weaponization of victims and the politicizing of their grief, of their trauma, and their pain. And I am no stranger to any of that, and nor are the people who work on my team, who are really committed to doing the best that we can to serve the people of Alameda County, all of the people, not a few people who think that they know best. And it's interesting that the opponents do not have a plan for what will happen in 5 or 6. They don't have a plan. It's just based really feeling they didn't win in 2022. So, and one of them said out loud, I didn't vote for her. I feel like I know the people elected her, but I feel like we should have a recall so we can have another election. And that was an open statement. That is the most undemocratic thing that anyone can say. And that is the thinking behind this effort to overturn the election. And so I'm proud to have the support of the Alameda County Democratic Party, which voted overwhelmingly against the effort to overturn the election. We are Democrats. Once we have done nothing that would warrant this being having the election overturned. As Democrats, we're calling upon all the Democratic clubs to stand with us to protect the win. Overturn the will of the voters with no these folks that wanted the Board of Supervisors to spend $20 million on a special election, knowing that we have a $68 million deficit. The Board of Supervisors is grappling with the possibility of having to close Highland Hospital. And yet these folks wanted the board to commit $20 million of our money. That says that there's no logic and no reason to what they're asking the voters to do. There was no reason when they were talking to the Board of Supervisors. And if you listen to some of those meetings, some of the outrageous, hateful things that they said to the Board of Supervisors, it was embarrassing and shameful. The way that they attacked the voters, the way that they attacked the registrar of voters, the way that they attacked the Board of Supervisors, and certainly not least the way that they have attacked me. I have been a member of this community since 1978. I have been on the front lines of movements for police accountability, for gun violence, for holding corporations accountable and serving this community. And yet the way that they have attacked me, the kinds of things that they have sanctioned online in their attacks through their PR firm, it's just outrageous. It has taken our public discourse to a completely low level. So don't be deceived today. If they seem like they are talking reasonable, you should look at the meetings at the Board of Supervisors over the last year, and you will see how they really feel about our democracy. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to have the support not only of the Alameda County Democratic Party, but also the ACLU, Oakland Rising Action, UAW, NUHW, and a host of folks that basically the majority of the people of Alameda County. And we have to reject this undemocratic effort to overturn a democratic election. So thank you, and I'm happy to answer questions. I apologize. Was on the road leaving a fundraiser because we have to raise money. These billionaires spent $3 million to put all of Alameda County through this test, and that is exactly what it is. And $3 million is why we now have to have a special election or basically another election to basically redo what we've already done. And they are prepared to spend up to $5 million and probably double that to overturn the election. That is not democratic. That is billionaires trying to buy what they want. And they don't represent the people. They are the Platinum Roots campaign.
All right, thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Madam DA. We have a couple of questions from members. Is it all right if we ask one or two?
Yes, please do.
All right. How do you address the amount of turnover in the office during your term?
We have not had that much turnover. We've hired 168 people. When we got there, the office was decimated. My predecessor had not hired people for 2 or 3 years. So across the board, there were primarily the lawyers. There weren't enough lawyers to do the work. I'm not sure if because of COVID, since we didn't get a real transition, I really don't understand what happened. But I do think that COVID played a part. They must have downsized during COVID, and they never took the effort to start hiring people again. So we've hired, I believe, 45.
We've cut out. Are you there, Madam DA Price?
Unit.
Maybe we need to let her.
Had lots of opportunity to.
Madam Price, this is Miss McAdam. I'm so sorry. Half of your answer was lost due to bad audio.
Are you there, Madam DA?
Meredith, I wonder if there's somebody from, oh, there she is.
In Oakland, there was
I'm afraid I can't hear her at all.
Yeah, I can't either. Kalima or Joanna, are you able to text her or something?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and text her.
Okay.
Joanna, do you want to fill in
Yeah,
blanks?
I'll text her right now. I imagine she's driving and she just has a spot with bad
Yeah, no,
reception.
yeah, it's
And so
understandable.
I want to just apologize to everybody. She's been on the road doing a million things, running an office while also having to defend right now. I suggest we just give her a second if that's okay with you, Meredith.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Meanwhile, this gives me a chance to encourage you to join the City of Alameda Democratic Club right now. You could do it right now where we're waiting for Ms. Price, who is, driving and talking to us at the same time. You can go on over to the City of Alameda Democratic Club's website and just join right now. And I'll give you an opportunity to not only participate in events like these, where we're trying to help the citizens of Alameda be better informed voters, but also allows you to vote on important matters such as this one. And I just really encourage you to take the opportunity to go to the City of Alameda Democratic Club and join us.
Yep, alamedademocraticclub.org. All right, it looks like she's there. Oh, you're on mute, Madam DA Price.
Yes.
Hi.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my apologies.
No
I will
worries.
get a computer up. I was answering the question about
The staff turnover, and you were going through the metrics of the amount of people, the vast number of people.
yeah, the fact that this perception that we've had a lot of turnover, that's a myth, the misinformation. The office was poorly staffed when we got there, and so we've been filling positions. We have not had a lot of turnover. There were retirements that happened in the inspectors division that we were told that that's traditionally like around March or April that people do retire, inspectors particularly. We haven't lost that many lawyers, quite frankly. There was a spate of lawyers that left and they were loud. They did their exit interviews in the media. And so that gave people the impression. And that, I need to say that that's one of the ways that we've seen in attacks against a strategy that has been used to undermine progressive DAs is having a lot of turnover in the office. And so that was probably an effort to do that, but we recognized early on that the office, we needed people to do the work. And we literally have a queue. I've interviewed 2 lawyers this week. One who's been a prosecutor in Contra Costa County for 10 years, and she's coming to work in Alameda County. What we have said to people is that if you live in Alameda County, but you work in Marin or San Francisco or Contra Costa or Sacramento or Modesto or all around the state, but you live in Alameda County, or more importantly, you have family, you came from Alameda County, you can come home. And they're coming home. And so we're really excited that we're getting a lot of committed lawyers as well as staff people who really want to serve the people who live, work, and play in Alameda County. It's great. It's very exciting. We are also the most diverse DA's office in the whole state of California, which is, it was kind of a low bar, but we met it, and we're definitely exceeding it. So we're excited about the people who have come on board, as well as, you know, the folks that are still there that are continuing to do their job.
Great.
Yeah.
And one last question quickly.
Sure. Apologize.
Do you feel that the directives published in April 2023, as referenced by the SAFE Committee, are misunderstood or misconstrued by the public?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think
Okay.
the SAFE Committee has done a lot to tell people falsely that we have eliminated all enhancements or banned. There was a whole conversation about enhancements that started that absolutely did not, was misrepresented our directive and misled the public around the legislative directive for enhancements. No one has referenced Penal Code Section 1385, which is what our special directive was based on. And Penal Code Section 1385 was amended in 2021 by the state Senate. SB 81 was sponsored by our very own Nancy Skinner. It was signed by Governor Newsom, and it was the result of the Sentencing Commission that studied California's sentencing structure for the first time in decades. And they took several years to do it. And they determined that the use of enhancements in California had been overused by district attorneys, and that they mandated that judges actually are not supposed to be using enhancements unless there's clear and convincing evidence that the person is likely to pose a danger to public safety after they serve their regular sentence. So for instance, the basic sentence for homicide in California is 25 years to life if it's first degree, 15 years to life if it's second degree murder. And so the court can only impose an enhancement. Is the presumption is that the court will only impose an enhancement on that sentence if we prove by clear and convincing evidence that the person will continue to be a danger 15 years from now or 25 years from now. And that's a high burden. And so what we said to our deputies was, we need you to start complying with Penal Code Section 1385. And the way that we're going to do this is that we're going to now create a process and a structure for that. What we found after we met with the charging deputies was that they didn't have any standards, or their standard for charging was if we can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. That was it. But like, what did you use to figure that out? Or what, was there any consistency? Was there a manual? No. How did you learn? People learned from other people in the past. They had things on their like on their computer board. I mean, everybody had a different way of looking at it. And so we said, we need to have a policy so that we know that there's consistency, and we need to have accountability in the office, which means you have to talk to your supervisor, and then your supervisor, if your supervisor says no, okay, fine. If your supervisor says yes, then it has to go up the chain of command. What we found in this office was that there was a lack of communication, a lack of accountability. The chains of command and authority were just not there. And so it was part of our ongoing effort to create, you know, consistency in the office, to comply with the Racial Justice Act, which all district attorneys are required to implement and comply with. And that none of that information was part of what SAFE represented to the people is, oh, we got this policy, she's getting rid of all enhancements. That is not what happened at all.
Thank you. Well, that's all. I'm sorry to everyone. That's all we have time for is for the questions. But what we'll do is I've grabbed them all from the chat, and we will reach out to the campaigns to see if we can get some additional responses offline. But I really want to thank Madam DA Price and the Protect the Wind campaign for joining us. and for Safe also, if they're still on the line, for joining us as well, and both of you providing us with some valuable information to consider and contemplate as we head into these busy months ahead of the election.
All right. Thank you.
So
Thank
with
you.
that, we will excuse the campaigns, or have you guys go on mute. And then
Meredith, did we ask Ms. Price where we could find out more information about her point of view?
oh yeah,
I may have
it's
missed it.
is it protectthewind.org?
Yes, it's
Okay.
protectthewind.org. Yes.
Okay.
And as well, the district attorney has an official website that has the things that we're doing, and our annual report, 2023 annual report. Under my leadership, we've done some amazing things. So all of that is public information.
Great.
And Meredith, I assume since I'm a member, I can stay on.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
All right. Okay. Excuse me. All right. Among our membership, does anyone want to share any thoughts of how they're feeling, or we went through this exercise with the US Senate race, and it's very open. You can be undecided as well. Nelson, you look eager to say something.
Yes, hey, good evening, everyone. I just feel like there's just so much information rolling around everywhere. It just seems like every 5 minutes something changes about this situation. And you know what? What I really, discovered is that, there may really be some PACs involved in this situation that, are layering the funding. And that I even heard that the Pennsylvania Attorney General is involved right now in fundraising against DA Price. And that's really concerning to me right now, because I really don't know what's happening, and now that everyone's together tonight, if there's any clarification that people can add, I would really appreciate it.
This is Wyeth McAdam, and I'm speaking as a member and not as a board officer. For me, I think it's an extraordinary thing for Alameda County to have gone through the election process, for people to have run, to put forward their platforms, to have expended an extraordinary amount of time and vision on both sides. And the election results are what they are. And in my opinion, it really thwarts democracy for us to spend this kind of time and money to undermine a longtime leader in our community and a extraordinary, accomplished attorney who had a vision, who went forward and campaigned on that vision and won. I'm not really hearing from the other side the kind of thing that I would understand why one would want to recall an elected leader. I think there might be a time and place for that, but for me, I'm not hearing compelling evidence as to why Ms. Price doesn't deserve to enjoy the leadership position that she and her campaign won. Part of my concern about the way democracy has been for the last 10 years or so is us not fighting for and promoting and protecting these institutions like elections. And instead, hearing about John George Hospital being potentially at risk, and I feel very frustrated and angry, I'll be honest. And I am very excited to see, after 100 years, somebody in the position that Ms. Price is in now. And I'm a former public defender myself, so I have my own point of view around the criminal justice system. But I am excited to see what vision Ms. Price is bringing to our county. And I'm not going to be voting to recall her. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. All right, Evan, you're up.
Cool, thank you. And thanks to both of, well, everybody who presented on the calls. So I was the person who asked if, you know, if SAFE feels like the directives or anything that Pamela Price has done has kind of undermined what it is that she ran on, because to me that's sort of what should trigger a recall. I think that, you know, I don't fully agree that it's like devastating to democracy. It is part of like the democratic process, so like I do have an open mind about it, but I think recalls should be reserved for if somebody, you know, kind of if she ended up going against what the people said that they wanted, right? And it sounds like the answer that I got. And you know, Ms. Grisham, like my takeaway from it, I think I can empathize with what it was that you were saying. I do see that you're still on this call, but I don't think it quite was the answer that I would have needed to be able to endorse the recall, because I don't think that Ms. Price is going against what it was the voters asked for. So I also will not be endorsing this.
All right, I guess it's my turn. I completely recognize it's a complicated issue. It's a very emotional issue, and it is just a fire hose of information and us all trying to get savvy on how the district attorney's office works, how the justice process works, and that's a lot. So speaking as a member, I am also going to vote to oppose the recall and the endorsement. The Alameda County voters made a choice in 2022. The voters selected Pamela Price, the first African-American woman DA. I just have strong reservations about an effort involving a lot of money for signatures to overturn that choice, and just feel it goes against our valued principles of democracy and electing our leaders. I don't take crime and concerns about crime rates lightly, and I sympathize with the victims and am heartbroken at their stories of what they've gone through. As a mother myself, it's unimaginable. I agree this is an issue that we all as a community need to work to address, but I also recognize that a lot contributes to public safety. And I don't think pointing the finger at a newly elected leader at the time, chosen by the voters, and recall them shortly after is the solution. The voters wanted change. We wanted things done differently. Change and transition aren't seamless, and they take time. So I hope that we as a club and all our members will be good stewards to the facts and recognize that no leader is perfect, especially the first year, and consider that we risk setting a pretty bad precedent for choosing our leaders if we choose to endorse this recall. Sorry, Howard, it's your turn.
Okay, my name is Howard Egerman, and I'm a lifelong Californian. I was born in San Francisco. As a young person, I learned about the initiative, recall, and referendum from Hiram Johnson. And what I'm concerned about is this totally being misused as part of Republicans. I mean, that's what happened with Gray Davis, and then it's become extremely popular. And Pamela hasn't had a chance But I'm extremely concerned that the Republicans seem to be using this as a vehicle. If they don't like who wins an election, they go ahead and recall them. They did the same thing with Dianne Feinstein when she was mayor of San Francisco. They did it with Gavin Newsom. It just makes no sense. So I really think it's important to take a stand, and hopefully the legislature will try to reform the whole recall process, because it makes no sense that they can have these people from outside the county pay petition solicitors money to get recalls on the ballot. So I definitely oppose it.
Thank you. Tony Grimm, it's your turn. Are you there, Tony?
Tony, you're off mute, but are you talking? Tony? I'm not sure if her hand raised is an accident, but I don't hear any audio from Tony.
Yeah, Tony, are you there? We can hear, but not you speaking.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, hello.
Sorry, I had to plug in my handheld mic. I wanted to make a comment about the paid petition gatherers, the signature gatherers, because during this campaign to recall Pamela Price, I was approached more than once over at the Safeway in Alameda by paid petitioners asking to sign. And I asked them questions about what they were asking. They said they didn't even know when Pamela Price had been elected. And they said she's setting criminals free, and just completely outrageous, lies, fear mongering, and talking to people. And this is the problem of getting paid petitioners, which happens when you have a lot of money to pay petitioners. And so this kind of a campaign is just really stinks to me when it can cause all of this problems by paying people to trick people into signing to get on the ballot. That's it.
Yeah, thank you for that input. All right, is there anyone else? Comments, questions, thoughts? All right, and again, I'm sorry we couldn't get to everyone's questions. But like I said, we'll do our best to send them to the campaigns over email, or just, we wanted to be respectful of their time. Well, thank you all. There's a lot, obviously, for us all to take in. And thank you to the campaigns for taking time out of your Wednesday evening to meet with us, present to us, share this information. And for those that are eligible to vote, and those are the members who have attended a meeting in the last year and have submitted their 2024 dues, you should be receiving an OPA vote in your email inbox. And there will be 3 choices: whether we endorse the recall, we endorse the opposition, or our club doesn't take a position at all. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoyed the meeting.
Thank you very much, Alameda. Take care.
Yep, have a good evening.
Good night.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Alan, I got your note. Yes, we're all good there. And Kathy, I'll text you. All right, good night.
Good night.
Wait.